Let's first talk about this opening weekend for you. You got some quality programs coming in. Nova Southeastern, obviously, multiple time champion on the women's side. Division two, a couple other good programs. Kenyon and Carson Newman coming in. How did this week come together, kind of in an early season fashion?
Yeah, so most of the coaches, or all the coaches coming, are programs and coaches that we're pretty closely connected to. I talk with those coaches specifically often, and we've talked for several years now about trying to get something together where we're competing against these four teams that aren't necessarily that close geographically. And so Nova had the opportunity to get on a plane, so they came up, and we decided to pull this together. It's important, I think, where we are right now, which is, I would say, more of the same in terms of we have a lot of good swimmers and divers on our team, but many of them are new, right? We are a really different looking team than we have been. And so I wanted to make sure that we were able to get tested really quickly and go in against some really proven competition and see where we are.
Okay, being such an early season meet, what are your expectations for this weekend?
It's part of a whole, right? We're still progressing towards something, but you jump in the water and you want to perform well. And so I think we can expect good performances. Obviously, that's a pretty general thing to say, right? But we want to compete with good teams, and I think that we're ready to do that. I think in terms of times and scores for early October, we're going to perform well. And then that'll be a good starting point to grow from and be better in November, better in February, better in March.
Okay, and then finally, you kind of touched on it already, but I was curious about the makeup of the team. You did graduate quite a few folks last year, so you'll be relying on some new pieces this year quite heavily, I'd imagine. You have some returners that are also very successful, and maybe their leadership roles will increase or whatever. What are your early impressions on how the team's coming together?
We're really happy so far with the way training has gone. One of our focuses in building the team for this year was finding a group of people who are going to train really well together. I think sometimes you can have talented athletes who don't necessarily contribute to the group in the way they train. And so we want to make sure that the pool is a really energetic place every day where people are able to get more out of each other and help each other get more out of themselves. And I think we have that. We've put in really, really good work, which is probably going to mean we'll be pretty tired here. But also the opportunity to be tested against really challenging people every day at practice, I think has people pretty mentally prepared to handle what comes. We have some individual scorers back, but not that many, right? And so we had to go and bring in people who can go that direction, obviously continuing to work to develop the people who had been here and hadn't gotten to that point yet. And when I say individual scores, of course, I mean at the NCAA meet. And so I would say most of who we've brought in on the men's side, we've brought in a lot of freestyle, which has been a bit of a weakness in the past couple of years. So we expect to have a stronger freestyle group. The sprint group will grow and develop as some of these younger guys really come into their own. But we have a lot of mid-distance and distance on the table now, which is a little bit different than the way it's been. Women's side, we've seen so many top 8 performers graduate. And so we've brought in the biggest class probably we've ever had. We have 17 freshmen this year on the women's side and really spanning everything and all events. So we have a lot of people there that should be able to grow pretty quickly into NCAA scores along with the ones we have returning. We have 2 individual NCAA champions returning on the women's side. So we have really good athletes there. And so the numbers are important to grow that side.
Okay. Well, it sounds like a really interesting makeup you have this year. I'm looking forward to another good season.
Thank you, sir.
Yep.